Mm-hmm. What it do, family? The boy Selah Shalom, live and direct. Y'all know what it is, man. Chiming on this beautiful day. You know what I mean? Look at the skies. It's comfort today. That snow coming in. You're supposed to be getting snow. I can dig it. You know what I mean? OAHSPE talks about the snow. The belts in the atmosphere. Atmospheric belts that produce these things. Yeah, man. OAHSPE tells you a lot. So for those who disagree, whatever source you sourcing up with, bring it to the table. And let's put it together and see what we come with. For those who disagree. Yup. We live. Facebook Live. I mean, you know what I'm out here doing already. Yeah, you see it. Welcome my champions, my wolves, my man eaters. They be ready to eat out for anything. Some of these small dogs got more heart than these big dogs out here. Yes, sir. Damn, why you gonna step right in that? All right. Yeah. Just let a couple people chime in. We're gonna get this thing going. Yes, sir. We outside enjoying this weather. You know what I mean? Being a Caribbean man, a tropical man, good thing about living in the States, you get to enjoy the different seasons. You know what I mean? So like, if I lived in the Caribbeans and it was hot all year round, like when Christmas come around, I wouldn't feel Christmassy because it's hot. You know what I mean? Just using that as an example of, you know, certain holidays, certain weather come with, certain good times come with the weather, I should say. Summertime got its good times. Wintertime got its good times. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a beach man. I like to hit the beach. I want to hit the beach when it get hot. But when it's cold like this, shit, man, I'm going to go to Tennessee, get up in the mountains, go to the cabins, get some of that clean air. You know what I mean? The higher you go, the cleaner the air. Like in the OAHSPE states, impurity lies on the earth. Purity lies high above. Atmospherically speaking, dealing with ascension and descension. You know what I mean? Check out nature, yo. See that? See that? That's my environment. Nature, clean air. You think we worrying about COVID and shit like that out here? Nah, not in nature. But if you in them big cities, like Chicago, Philly, New York, the whole Northeast, the metropolis cities, I suggest y'all get up out of there in a timely fashion. Because cities like New York is basically an external jail. If you go and look at a jail cell or a jail inside, and you go inside some of them New York buildings, whether it be the projects, the tenements, regardless of what building it is, it's just like being in a jail. You know what I mean? As soon as you come outside your door, you got people all in your face. If you're a spiritual person, you got to get out those environments, bro. You got to return to this. You got to come down south. That's where the revelation going to really take place, in the south. That's why the south popping the way it is. Because this is where it's going to be at, in the south, when it all jumps off. Everybody moving from up north, everybody moving from Chicago, everybody moving from LA to Atlanta or the south. Because the south is where it's at. This is where nature resides. You know what I mean? I could go show you some muscadine. It's some muscadine trees in the summertime. Some of these trees like this right here, they produce muscadines, and you'll see it all on the ground. You know what I mean? I go get my bucket, go pick me some muscadines and eat right off the tree. You know what I mean? That's how you connected to the Creator through nature. Eating stuff right off the tree. You got to connect back in an environment that is conducive to the lifestyle you're trying to live. Like, I couldn't be living holy in a city like New York. Not taking nothing from New York, because I love New York. I mean, I got to touch down New York at least once a summer. You know what I mean? Because I grew up in the city. I'm an inner city youth. But the reality is that to get to connection to the Creator, nature, and all that, you got to find yourself in that environment. You know what I'm saying? Clean air. When I go to New York, coming over that bridge, the Verrazano Bridge, I see the smog over the New York City. You can see the smog over New York the same way you see the smog over China. So what does that tell you? That the atmosphere is impure. If the smog is, you can see the smog in the atmosphere of New York City. That shows you that when that rain or when that atmosphere, that toxins descend. Oh yes, they will descend to the ground. You inhaling that. That's why a lot of people in New York suffer from respiratory conditions, because the atmosphere is bad. The times I go to New York, I may be walking down in Brooklyn, East New York, and I may walk past and it may be a foul smell. And I'm like, damn, that shit smell like rotten eggs. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it'd be the sewer and shit. You know what I mean? And that's just one block walking in New York City, let alone the whole New York, what resides in that sewer system. The amount of people using the bathroom, flushing the toilet, and all that waste right under your feet. And sometimes that odor comes through there. You smell that shit. I remember one time I was sleeping in my grandfather's room in Brooklyn. And he had, I left the window open because it was summertime. When I woke up, my stomach was turning. It was the smell of rotten eggs coming through that window. And I must have been inhaling it for the majority of the night or the morning. So when I woke up, that shit was upsetting my stomach like a motherfucker. I was like, damn. I said, ain't no way in hell I can live back in New York City like this, with these conditions. You know what I mean? So with that being said, the metropolitan cities, New York, that's the new Babylon. You know what I mean? Y'all niggas gotta get up out them cities, relocate to different areas. Even if you go to the state of New York, because the state of New York got trees, it look like down south, or even upstate New York. Y'all gotta go out there somewhere. Get away from them boroughs, man. Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, that shit is an island, my nigga. All that steel and weight on that little ass island. And all those people, millions of people cramped up on that little ass island, committing all sorts of murder since the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Look at the amount of people that got murdered in New York City within a span of 30 years, 40 years. So you got all those spirits roaming on that island. I done spoke to many people and how they talk about how they see spirits of the dead in their apartment in New York. One of my homeboys, he an Israelite cat. He represents the tribe of Levi. He from Haiti. And his people is a voodoo priest. And we had great discussions about these things. Because he don't really rock with the OAHSPE, but when he sees certain chapters and verses I post dealing with spirituality and how the spirits of the dead move, he got to question it. He got to consider it, because these are things that he done experienced. He done told me he sit in the crib, dude, walk through the hallway to walk through the wall type shit. And I heard plenty stories like that. Lingering spirits just moving around in the apartment. Even when I went up there to do the lecture in the Cosmon Temple, I experienced spiritual activity or abnormal activity, what they will call that today. Books flying off tables, doors opening. I experienced that in the temple. So that showed me that there's an active spirit lingering here. And sometimes they'll give you the impression like they don't want you here based off the intentions of what you feel of how they greeting you. You see what I'm saying? But you got to get away from them big metropolitan cities. Get to the countryside, get closer to purity. So when your transition come, you're not going to be bombarded by a group of drudges, what the OAHSPE call it, or wandering spirits. When you die, you don't want to be surrounded with wandering spirits that's going to convince you to go with them, because they've been there 20, 30, 40 years in the spirit world. You just now coming over. They got you hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker when you cross over. But if you cross over in more pure realms, pure grounds, surrounded by nature, you're going to come across spirits of the dead who's more in tune with that environment. See how that works? So you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if your environment is not conducive to the knowledge you're expressing, you're going to be subjected to the same low lives in that realm. No different that you may be on the block, you had all the knowledge, but your surroundings is ignorance. Gang members, gang bangers, you can't even reach out to them. You really ain't got too many people to even speak to about this level of knowledge. And you can't even live it the best of your ways because you may be trying to live peaceful and somebody come and do harm to you. You going out the house in New York, to go to the store, see somebody looking at you, you looking at them, y'all lock eyes and it's a problem. But out here, we ain't too much worrying about that. Georgia's so spread out. Don't believe the hype. Anything anybody tell you about Georgia, don't believe the hype until you experience it. There's places I could take you out here that you ain't got to see a human being if you don't want to. Atlanta's a small city. Don't get confused like it's a big city. Atlanta's a small city. The city of Atlanta's from Peachtree downtown to Peachtree Buckhead. And that's it. After you pass Buckhead, you back in the country. Or you back in homes, apartments, and then further out the country. Vice versa. On the east, west, and north, south. In the perimeter of the city. It's city. But when you come out the perimeter, it's nature, boy. Like, you could actually go pitch you a tent and nobody know you living there for years out here in some of these southern states. Not just Georgia, you got South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. You know what I mean? Break away from the metropolis cities because things are about to happen. This next 33 years we going into the 200-year Cosmon, because you got to keep in mind, we're going from 66 to 99. That's where we at with it. And what comes with those grades? Go read the book of Cosmogony and Prophecy when it talks about the grades. When they manifest at 33, manifest at 66, and manifest at 99. I'll give y'all some homework. Go check what grade 66 brings. The gods, the false saviors and the false gods coming to pretend to be saviors of men. With advanced technology. That's where we at with it. So don't be a part of the system. Just like in the Matrix, you got to break out the Matrix and come back to nature. Get comfortable. When the last time you walked with your feet on the grass? Just right here. When the last time you put your foot on the grass and feel how that felt? You see that? We can do that anytime, man. When I'm working out in this park, that's all it is grass. Barefoot. When you connect to that earth, you feel that connection. But just imagine the 20 years you've been rotting in them concrete jungles, walking on concrete, not connecting to the earth. See, it's one thing having knowledge about spirituality, but it's another thing connecting to it. Because when you connect to it, too much philosophy doesn't exist in that realm. You have to experience it. You see what I'm saying? It's like somebody getting shot. You could talk about getting shot, but until you experience it, then you'll know. So it's the same concept. Using that as an example. Georgia pine, that's right. That Georgia pine. You know, they say the penile gland looks like a pine. See that? The penile gland, that's a carbon-based gland. It deals with carbon. Carbon is the key component to life. Carbon is your connection to the spiritual world. Dealing with the endocrine system. Yeah. The central nervous system. All those are carbon-based machines. Carbon plays a very important role in some of these systems. That's why I made the carbon C7. So I made this right here. I'm sipping on some of that right here. My little water bottle. It's my carbon C7. You know what I mean? Carbon C7 is the truth. You ain't gonna find too many herbalists that got a tea that's carbon-based. Because they ain't do that carbon research like I did as a Caribbean youth. See, I'm from the Caribbean, so we is taught about bush, herbs, and some things long before the so-called American youths was up on it. Like sea moss, how popular sea moss is now. Now, I was doing sea moss in the 80s, where I'm sure a good majority of you never heard of sea moss in the 80s or the 90s. Y'all now getting hip to that. So we got over 20 years of digesting CMOS in my body, while you now doing your 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 years of CMOS indulgence. We got 20, 30 years in the partner, even more than that. Now just imagine your immune system being built up 20, 30 years on something like CMOS compared to your 2 or 3 or 5 year that you just starting out. So stay humble. I know a lot of times when we learn something new, we get cocky, we get big-headed. You know what I mean? It happens to the best of us. You got to stay humble, because it's always that person who got them years before you. Dig? Yes, it's bitter indeed. Exactly. That carbon C7. See, the question need to be asked: where do you find carbon in nature that is edible to the body? Because they'll tell you in a minute that carbon is dangerous, or carbon monoxide and all that. But where they drawing the carbon from for it to be poisonous? See what I'm saying? Where's the greatest concentration of carbon found in nature? Where is that found at? See, I did the homework to these. That's why I could produce a carbon-based product to electrify the spirit, electrify the body. The greater the carbon, the more electrical the spirit or the electrical expression is, the greater the carbon. If you want to do a barbecue, right? If y'all having a barbecue, you get what? Charcoal. What is charcoal? Carbon. You use that charcoal to what? To light that fire. See? Fly is electrical. Your spirit is electrical. So that means carbon plays a key role in your existence as being alive as a spiritual or an electrical being. So you drink that carbon C7, you ain't drinking nothing but electricity in the liquid form. That's why I told y'all this COVID ain't fucking with me. Because I done figured out the formula how to address the body, especially with the carbon C7, boy. That shit there, you drink that shit, you start feeling electrical. Yes, sir. Malak, what's good? Yup, bark and plants. That's right, sis. You got it. You know what I mean? That's where you get your greatest concentration of carbon. It's in bark, off of trees. Paya Pereira, Moby bark, son, white willow bark. Those are a couple barks that the concentration of carbon per atom is crazy. 22, 24 electrons per carbon atom. See that? You boys ain't on top of that type of shit. Them herbalists ain't telling you what the electron per carbon atom is to a cell. When you look at Paya Pereira, when you look at Cascara bark, when you look at white willow bark, these barks have 22 to 24 to 26 to 28 electrons per carbon atom. That's highly electrical. Fruits don't even contain that level of electricity. That's why I tell you, herbs. One cat we was building, he said, fruits have a vibrational frequency, no doubt. But it's your herbs, because even in the Bible, it said herbs, and then it said the fruits. Because here's the catcher. Here's why herbs is important first when it comes to higher level of consciousness. Because iron, or your blood, is the main conduit to get to the organs. So for example, your bones are calcium. Your blood, your veins and arteries are attached to your bones. So in order for your bones to maintain its hydration, oxygen has to be carried through the blood to the calcium cells in the bone to keep it even functioning properly. So with that being said, iron is the key component of hydrating your cells. So with the brain, the blood, the veins and arteries is connected to the brain. The same rules apply. The brain is an organ. Now chill out. So if you're not getting proper oxygen to the brain, you cannot raise the vibrational frequency until oxygen is addressed. And the only way you're going to get oxygen to the brain is through iron, through the blood. So before we can even address high vibrational frequencies through fruits, We got to get the oxygen cells to get there first. And the only way to do that is through the iron. And the greatest concentration of iron is in herbs, not in fruits. That's why you use herbs to heal yourself. Because if you could eat watermelon and cure yourself from any disease, that would be big news throughout the generations. But it's not. It's herbs. So, you know, herbs, fruits is the foundation of good health. It's the foundation to connecting to high vibrational frequencies. See, if your blood ain't circulating, the vibrational frequencies can't get to the brain or the pineal gland, to those carbon cells to activate the spirituality. They say your third eye and all that. That's your pineal gland. That's where you have dreams and all that. That's carbon based. The reason why your pineal gland is calcified is because you're not getting enough oxygen to the pineal gland. And the only way you can get oxygen to the pineal gland is through iron. So if you're eating fruits that's not iron based, guess what? You're not getting oxygen to the pineal gland. The only way you're going to get oxygen to the pineal gland is high concentrated herbs that is high in iron. Sarsaparilla, yellow dock, burdock. Keep saying the same herbs. I know this. This is what I do. So once the iron is high vibrating in the blood, circulating how it needs to be, then can the oxygen properly go to the organs and increase the vibrational frequency of that organ, or make it run properly in basic terms. See that? I named you 3 high-base herbs that's high in iron. You can even look up the electrons per carbon atom in the iron cell and see that I ain't making this shit up. But if I was to get some berries high in hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. But guess what? You're not going to find big traces of iron there. So you're not going to get your oxygen going to your pineal gland because iron is not present in them berries. You have to go somewhere else for iron. But if you take that yellow dock, that burdock, and sarsaparilla, them iron-based herbs, and then take them berries, then the vibrational frequency will rise because the blood will be circulating where it needs to be to carry that oxygen cell to the pineal gland. So you can start having visions, dreams. If you have a lot of visions and dreams, that means your pineal gland is clear, it's open. If you ain't having no dreams, if you can't remember the last time you have a dream, your shit calcified. You need to get on your goddamn herbs. You need to holler at me, get some of these bitter sweets, get some of that carbon C7, because the carbon C7 is designed to decalcify the pineal gland. How do you decalcify the pineal gland? Those are the basic rules. It's dehydrated. Anything becomes dehydrated, it becomes sticky and it becomes hardened. So what you got to do in order to stop that from happening? You got to produce oxygen cells to get to the pineal gland and start wetting it like you're throwing water on a fire, and it'll start lubricating the pineal gland, loosen up the calcium, the decalcification, and break off the decalcification. It'll slide off, no different than, what's that, Drano. You pour Drano and all that gunk starts to slide off, it'll slide off the pineal gland. Then you start having dreams and visions. That's how you know your pineal gland is working. But if you decalcified and you eating red meat, you eating chicken, eggs, and all this extra stuff, and you ain't detoxing, ain't no way in hell you're going to be connected to the spiritual world like that. A lot of those people are disbelievers in the spirit world who are heavily carnivores. Pineal gland calcified, they ain't having no visions, no dreams. They just straight animal man, beast, with no sense of spirituality. But when it dictates to you that you offer your spirituality and you living more of a pure life than them. So always be mindful of that. So I just want to drop that wisdom about herbs and then fruits. Shalom, Shabbat, no doubt. Yeah. Enjoying this cool air. Cold air is clean air. Yes, sir. That's why the hospitals stay cold. They keep that air clean, keep down on them germs. Acid, inflammation, disease exist in a lukewarm environment. Change the environment, change the condition of your health. That's right. Now, Shorty asked me, I think Sharon asked me earlier about the mark of the beast. What's my take on it? What do I think about it? My take on the mark of the beast is this. Technically, we already got the mark of the beast. Because according to the text, the mark of the beast said you can't buy or sell. Now, let's be real. Where can you go and get anything for free without using money? Money is the mark of the beast in that sense, where you cannot buy or sell without it. If I wanted to go to the store right now and get a bottle of water, which would be free, I got to pay 99 cents for it. I got to pay money for it. If I want to get another dog, if I want to get another Maltese, I got to pay money for it. If you want to get you a Bible, bruh, you got to pay money for it. So I don't see how y'all don't see that the mark of the beast is finances, money. But that's not my concern, because the revelations is Lou amongst revelation. That's his belief system. Now, if you believe that and accept that if you take the mark of the beast, you're going to be thrown in the lake of fire, you have the right to believe that. I don't believe that. I understand that to be a revelation from a false God. And we've been hoodwinked for 2,000 years with it. You see what I'm saying? It's always going to be a false God that comes throughout the ages that's going to try to take over the whole planet. Try to decimate the planet, bring down the numbers. But they say we got to reduce the planet to 500 million or some crazy shit like that. That's the false gods, man. And mortals are just playing out what the false gods are inspiring them to do, knowingly or unknowingly. See that? You could be inspired and don't know it. OAHSPE explains that. You could be working for the creator, you could be working for the opposition and don't know it. That part. While you can be inspired and know that you're inspired by the creator. But OAHSPE shows you those parallels as well, showing that mortals don't know everything. Nigga, you don't know everything. You ain't got to believe the book, but that ain't going to deter the fact that this information here is valid when it comes to certain spiritual revelations. I had one dude was like, yo, man, I don't believe in the book. I said, yo, that's cool. I'm not trying to convince you to believe in the book. I'm expressing what's in the book, and that there's no other book that could add up to what this revelation is talking about spiritually, especially dealing with the life after death. Oh, man, ain't nobody ever came back from the dead. How you know? They may not came to you. Or how you know somebody who crossed over and came back and revealed the revelation? How you know? While you have books validating that these things came about by spirit communion. You just in denial of the facts. And a lot of you ain't never even read the text to even question it on that level. Reading a couple passages, nah, bruh. You can't come to me with that. Oh, it's pseudo information. Ain't no such thing as Etherian gods. You can say all that. But that don't change the fact of the information that's there. You can't rival it. All you could do is just express your opinion about how you feel about it. But first, there was no such thing as Etheria. Now they have a gas called ether that they use. The Ethernet. So now what you saying? We using it today. But a couple years back, there was no such thing as an ether or Etheria. Now they proving it. So that validates the OAHSPE even more. You just giving more credit to the OAHSPE because that book was written at a time when none of this stuff was expressed. The Etherian worlds. Nobody know about that in the Bible world, in the Quranic world. You ask somebody who studied Islam about the Etherian world and see what they say. You ask somebody who read the Bible and ask them about the Etherian worlds and see what they say. But you know who may know? A Buddhist. One of them Hindus, because they deal with the higher heavens, Naravina. That's Etheria. Naravina and Etheria is one and the same. So if you go to the Far Eastern cultures, we may get some answers. But these Western cultures, the Abrahamic faith, they don't know nothing about that because those religions was hijacked by false gods whose highest heavenly realm was the second heaven. So they couldn't speak nothing higher than the second heaven. That's why you know nothing about Etheria in your Bible, because your false God didn't want you to know that. He wanted to keep you bound in the second heaven, in his heavenly kingdom. But in the OAHSPE, it says, yo, you're going to go from earth to the first, to the second, to the third heaven, and then you're going to graduate and go to the Etherian realms. That's the existing outside of the earth and its atmosphere. See that? OAHSPE shows us that. So we got a scope and a model to look forward to. We look forward to graduation. Y'all ain't looking for graduation who study the scriptures, who read the Quran. Y'all don't have a graduating mindset. Some of y'all don't even really know what's going to transpire with you after death. All you know is that here go some belief systems after death to some Bible believers. Some people believe that when you die, you're going to wait in the grave and wait till Gabriel sound the trumpet. Some people believe that. So when they die and wake up in spirit right after their death, they're like, damn, well, I should be sleeping. I shouldn't be conscious. That's one belief system that Bible believers have, that when they die, they're going to sit in the grave. Only thing sitting in the grave is your physical body. Your spiritual body don't sit in the grave with you. As soon as your spiritual body leaves the physical, it's detached, it's gone. Just like the wind blowing, it goes, it's in motion, it's out of here. So if you think that your spiritual body is going to be sitting in a grave, a physical grave, waiting for Gabriel to blow the trumpets, that's great deception. But that's just one belief system. Christians, I don't know if Muslims believe that, and Israelites believe that. That's one belief system. Another belief system is, after you raise from the dead, God gonna judge you. If you found in the book of life, you're going to get saved. If not, you're going to be cast in a lake of fire. But for how long in the lake of fire? For eternity? So let's put that in perspective. So for worlds that have been in existence long before the earth, let's say 2 million years ago. So you got people burning in a lake of fire 2 million years ago to now from some corporeal sins they did. Do you know spiritual sin is greater than corporeal sin? The sins of the ancestors in spirit that they're committing right now as we speak is greater than that they did in the physical when they was in flesh bodies. Your spiritual sin is greater than your physical sin. See, your Bible don't tell you these things, man. It's sounding brand new to a lot of cats. Cats like, and I'm just freestyling. Y'all go through the videos and see the chapters and verses. You know what I mean? The lessons. I got lessons on there. I got whole series. The Book of Wars Against Jehovah is a 47 video series. The Trinity series is like 30 videos or something like that? So I done laid down the foundation for the newcomers who may not know. You may have to go back and watch the videos because you hear me freestyle just thinking I'm just, just saying anything, but nah. I got lessons on YouTube dealing with the spirit, dealing with the gods, the false gods, the time period that they reigned. So when I speak about God, I'm not just loosely speaking about without putting it in a time frame. So if we're speaking of the God of Israel, we're speaking at a certain time frame. If I speak about Osiris, I'm speaking of a certain time frame. If I'm speaking about Luamung, I'm speaking at a certain time frame of these gods. Because see, false gods rise up, reign, and fall. So you got to know the time periods when they did that. So this is why I offer up any challenges, man. Any challenges. If you come in with, if you in the religious world, if you in the theological world, I bring up these challenges or these Q&As. But if you don't believe nothing, you just a joker, just don't really believe in nothing. Well, you need to start educating yourself somewhere. If you don't believe in books, start studying nature. Study real things. OAHSPE is not pseudo. OAHSPE tells you to study the physical world, to get all knowledge in the corporeal world. If you read the book of Osiris, son of Yahweh, son of Jehovah, his whole mission was to bring and teach mortals natural philosophy and science. Because at that time, mortals was too caught up in communicating with the spirits of the dead, and they wasn't developing their physical talents. So the Creator said, I'm going to send out my angel Osiris to teach mortals natural philosophy and science. That's when we was given the zodiac. That's when we was given astrology, astronomy. It's that time when Osiris came 10,000 years ago. See how I gave you the time period? 10,000 years. That's before Egypt. The Osiris of Egypt was 6,000 years ago with the pyramids. Then OAHSPE explains how the angels from the first Osirian cycle came to the 23rd arc cycle during the time of the false Osiris, prior to the false Osiris, but in that arc cycle, how they re-revealed the mysteries of the Osirian cycle during the Pyramid Age. See that? So OAHSPE shows you these things. Like the Cometics wasn't the first to deal with this science. It was dealt with 10,000 years ago. But 10,000 years ago, from the 21st arc cycle to the 23rd, it was war and destruction at the ending of the arc cycle, where a lot of the temples and places of learning was destroyed to the point you never knew that they existed. Unless we get these revelations to remind us, because these things are recorded in the libraries of heaven. So the past is documented and it's listed in the libraries of heaven. So when we cross over and we want to learn about the past and what really happened, you have libraries in the heavens that reveal these things. So if you want to know who built the pyramids, it's going to be there for us to review when we get there. It's called the halls of learning and education. See, OAHSPE tells you that you're going to continue education in the spirit world. So all the lost knowledge you think is mysterious and lost is documented right there in the heavens, like an open book for you to read when you get there. So just imagine you lived your whole life thinking you'll never know the mysteries, and then you get there, all the answers right there. The joy of soul that brings. But your Bible ain't telling you that. Your Bible ain't telling you revelations like the OAHSPE, nor your Quran, nor your Torah. And I know all them books well. I read the whole Bible and the Quran in my teenage years, bro. I did those in the 90s. The Quran, I did that in 96. I read the whole Quran in 1996, bro. You can't tell me about nothing about Islam. I read the whole 120 lessons, had the 120 lessons in 1997. You can't tell me about the Nation of Islam and the gods of the earth. I'll put you up to the challenge as well. If you read the Quran, put that up against the OAHSPE. If you study the 120 lessons, put that up against the OAHSPE. So I can show you where you fall short, and I can show you where you can benefit. Put your Torah up against the OAHSPE, so I can show you the difference between God, and Lord, and let you know that you was never worshiping the Creator from the beginning, because your whole Bible starts off with Elohim, which is a deity, and not the Creator. Nor did the deity give reverence to the Creator in Genesis, like in the OAHSPE where true God will say, Jehovah said to me, thy God. See that? Putting Jehovah above God, putting Jehovah first, or the Creator first. But nowhere in the Bible you will ever read where God gives praises to someone above him, which is the Creator. In your Bible it says, worship me, the Lord thy God. You're worshiping a man. That's like me telling you, bow down and worship me. Why not? That's exactly what you're going to do when you face your false God in heaven. You're going to be like, damn, this nigga Selah did say this. He did warn us about these false gods when we was on earth. And look at my ass, sitting here bowing down to these motherfuckers. Damn, you stuck now. We ain't bowing down to no God. We don't bow down. Only time we bow down is when the light is too much. When them Etherian gods and them atmospherian gods increase their light, that's when you're going to fall on your face, because the light is too much for you to bear and you're going to drop. That's what OAHSPE say. You ain't prostrating because of the gods. You prostrating because the light is too much for you to bear. And the best thing you to do is prostrate, to show you how much of a child you are in the realm that you just entered. See that? Come on. This is why you don't want to go against the OAHSPE when it comes to these God concepts and these creator concepts, because we're going to mash shit up in that department. You're angry and jealous God? Come on, bro. Those are human traits. You ain't put two and two together yet? To be jealous is a weak trait. To be angry is a sign of weakness. Do you know that when you get angry, that weakens you? How many times you got into an argument at the top of your lungs, and after you finished arguing, you was tired, you was out of breath? That shit weakens you. So how your God is jealous and angry, after that, after he finished exert that anger and jealousy, that nigga gonna be tired as hell. Because tiredness comes with being angry and jealous, especially being angry, more to say. So you got a God that created the sun, moon, and stars that could rain down fire and brimstone, but he want you to go kill off some other people that he created. He told you, thou shalt not kill. But he wants you to go kill off another people. That is the God you follow. Come on, bro. And you want to talk about the OAHSPE and the white man book? Come on, bro. I'll take it any day, chapter and a verse. I'm going to show you how detrimental your false God is compared to reading the white man book. Your false God could cast you in hell. Hundreds, 200, 300, 400 years, 600 years, up to 1,000 years. You ain't ready for that level of information. You hear that and start thinking that's make-believe. Oh, man, that's fairy tale. Man, that's bullshit. Yeah, of course it's bullshit to you. Because you ain't got the mindset for it. But that doesn't negate nor deny the reality of its existence. Cosmo Cal. Cosmo Art, what it do, boy? Holla at Cosmo Art. He got the dope artwork. You know what I mean? True servant of the Most High. True servant of the Creator. You know what I mean? Everybody got talents in this thing. That brother expresses talent through his paintings, his artwork. Yeah, you gotta respect that, man. Respect those who serve the Creator. Got utmost respect for the brother. Yes, sir. Yeah, though. So like that mark of the beast and all that's revelation from the false gods. If you want to get caught up in it, you can. But I wouldn't waste my time in them books. At this point, to be blunt with y'all, I wouldn't even waste time reading the Bible. Get you an OAHSPE Bible and start studying the information there. Because it's a big book. It ain't no book. It's like an encyclopedia. So you might as well get one early and start learning it now. So within the next 5 to 10 years, you know what's going. Even if you don't believe in it, you ain't got to believe it. I'm not telling you to believe in it. I'm just telling you to get the information. Because even in your Bible, it says get knowledge, and with knowledge, get understanding. It didn't say what type of knowledge. It said get knowledge. How you going to be a particular people or a special people, a particular people, Israel, and you ain't got no knowledge other than reading the Bible, reading the commandments? The Bible is limited. The Bible is a documentation of the Hebraic laws or the Leviticus laws and a combination of Babylonian myth, which is the 7-day story of creation, which starts out your Bible. So just keep that in mind. Your Torah, your Tanakh, your King James Bible starts off with the Babylonian 7-day creation story. And the excuse they'll use is that, oh, everybody had a creation story back then. No, you copied the story. Because if that was the case, the Indian Sanskrit, they got a creation story. The Egyptians got a creation story. But the Babylonian creation story is the one that coincides with the story you have in your Genesis. 7-day creations. On the 6th day man was created. That's in the Babylonian tale. That predates Torah. So when y'all went into captivity under the Assyrians and Babylonians, that's when you was exposed to the information. You was exposed to the information of the Babylonians twice, Israel. The first time you was exposed to the Babylonian information was during the time of Abraham, who was born in Ur Chaldea, ancient Iraq. It had a history. Abraham would have been aware of them documents of the creation stories. He was born there. But then he moved to Canaan. But he was born in a region where the 7-day creation story comes from. That's the first encounter, prior to even the nation of Israel being born. The second encounter, like I said, was during the captivities, when Israel was a nation now. And they went into captivity under the Babylonian laws. And they had to learn Babylonian customs and culture. The book of Daniel shows you that. Daniel and them reneged. We ain't bowing down. We don't bow down to nobody. They stood on their ground. Other Israelites over there bowing down. They don't want to get killed. Being persecuted. So Just like we came to America, we had to follow laws and instructions. Those who didn't got whacked. But those who followed the laws and instructions of this land through this European, they taught us English. They taught us the Bible. It was only later until now we were like, oh, no, this is our book. But back then, nah, we looked at the Bible as a white man book. So the same thing with the Babylonian captivity. When y'all went to Babylon, y'all had to learn the Babylonian literature, the Babylonian tongue, as Daniel 1, chapter 1, verse 4 say. They got the royal house of Judah, and they had to learn the Babylonian literature. Which is some of the Babylonian literature? Let's say the 7-day creation story, because that comes straight out of Babylon. It's in the cuneiform writing. It's not in Hebrew. The oldest story of creation is in cuneiform, not Hebrew. So what does that tell you? Y'all borrowed the text. Y'all ain't just randomly come up with Moses ain't come off the mountaintop with a 7-day creation. Moses came off the mountaintop saying, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one." That's what he came professing. Show me in the scripture where Moses came down off the mountain and started saying, "In the beginning, God created the heavens to the earth to the people." Show me that. Because the whole story of Moses is documented from his birth to his death, to where he gives the law. So show me in the story of Moses' life when Moses came to the people saying, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," since Moses wrote the first 5 books. If Moses wrote the first book, Genesis, Bereshit bara Elohim, if he wrote that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, why is that not the first law? The first law is, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one." Why is "in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth" not the first law? Why is "in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth" is starting out your Bible if that's not law? So I'm just showing you simply that the story of creation in your Bible is Babylonian in origin. So the same way they compiled the New Testament, the same way they compiled the Old Testament. The Leviticus laws, those are laws right there. That's the Torah, the Leviticus laws. When you read the book of Leviticus, those were your laws, statutes, and commandments. Right there. A story is not a law. A story is not a statute. A story is not a commandment. Although inside the story, they could speak of law, statutes, and commandments, but those are not law, statutes, and commandments. So those stories were added. The story of Noah, the story of Abraham, the story of the prophets, all those were added to the Leviticus laws. Prior to captivity, y'all was just living the laws. Community laws, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt do this. If you steal from your neighbor, you got to give him 40 goats. You know how them laws, that shit sound crazy as hell. Some of them laws. But that's what it was for the time. We ain't got no sheep and cattle to be offering to no sins in this day and age. We don't even have land. So those laws can't even exist today in that sense of following Leviticus laws. And it's plainly telling you that the laws are for the Levites. These are Leviticus laws. And those laws is not spiritual laws. They're dealing with community, how to live in a civil environment. So ain't nothing spiritual about that. So it shows you the rudimentary level that Israel was at. Hey man, get these laws, these earthly laws, before you can even comprehend spiritual things. Didn't they say that the laws was a shadow of things to come? So if the laws is a shadow of things to come, then the laws is not the fullness of the truth. They're just abide and living morally correctly. Now, if you start living morally correctly, what next? What about the heavenly revelations? What about the angels, the gods? What of them? We want to know that. What happens when we die? We want to know these things now after we start living and understanding the regular laws. Family. Yo, what it do? Can't bring it out already. Bring it out. Yes, sir. The laws of the Creator are simple. Worship the Creator. Serve others in righteousness. Do not kill the living animals that I created alive. Those are the laws of the Creator, man. Leviticus telling you about clean and unclean meats. clean and unclean meats. So y'all was that disobedient. Instead of following the vegan law, the vegetarian law, the herbivorous law, y'all wanted that flesh and blood. Y'all needed that meat. So God like, all right, man, these niggas stubborn. Let me go ahead and tell these cats the clean and unclean meats to eat. See, that's low vibrational frequency, Israel. Y'all wasn't vibrating on no high frequency level. Y'all were just being pawns for the gods. Even the Levite priests. Y'all had to deal with atonement for the sins. Y'all ain't dealing with nothing spiritual. Every time somebody break a law, it's like judges in a courtroom. Ain't nothing spiritual about them. Somebody break the law, they got to face the judge. Pay the fee. And go to probation, whatever the case may be. Ain't nothing spiritual about that. So Israel be thinking that they on some high spiritual vibration when they just dealing with common practical law. Ain't nothing spiritual about that. That's where the OAHSPE had to come and render up spiritual revelations on a whole nother scale. So you begin to understand that what you got from the Bible was a shadow of things to come. The revelations in the OAHSPE is that. How long I've been calling out the challenges on a doctrinal level, chapter and verse, with these so-called holy books. And that's for those who deny the information in the OAHSPE. Keep in mind, the OAHSPE is just a book, like any other book. But once we once we start talking about the salvation of our souls and life after death, that's serious. So if I decide, I'm like, yo, I ain't following that, but you have a choice. You could be Christian today, Muslim tomorrow, Buddhist the next day. That's the beauty about the country we living in now. We have those options, but you can't do that in a Muslim country. Go to Saudi Arabia, garb down looking like one of the royal families, and then decide you want to be a Christian the next day, break away and start walking around with a Christian cross on your neck in a suit, looking like a minister, and see what happens to you in Saudi Arabia. See what happens to you if you try to pull that off. In the Muslim countries, try to switch your identity because you had to change your heart because you don't want to follow this God. They ain't going to have that in them countries. But you can do it here because we got freedom when it comes to religious beliefs, spirituality here in the soil of America. If I was preaching OAHSPE in Saudi Arabia talking about how Gabriel is Allah and he bamboozled y'all, oh, that's a great offense. That's a great offense in their eyes. You can't even speak about the prophet in some of them Arab countries. You can't make an image of the prophet. They go crazy. They turn into barbarians because that's low vibrational frequency they dealing with. Intelligent people, intelligent men don't stoop to barbarianism when they have levels of knowledge. You only stoop to barbarianism when you have a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge is why people perish. And how do you perish? Through goddamn warfare. How many wars the Christians done fought with the Muslims and the Muslims done fought with the Christians from the day those religions started till now? Big warfare. Same thing with you Israelites. Big warfare. Before Christianity, big warfare among Israel when they came out of Egypt. How you going to spend 400 years being a persecuted people in Egypt, spend 40 years in the wilderness, and then go do battle with the Canaanites after being persecuted? Didn't you learn from your persecution? You good? Didn't you learn from your persecution not to persecute in order to prevent going into captivity? But then you go kill off the Canaanites doing the same atrocities the Egyptians did to y'all. But you ain't questioning the God, though. You ain't questioning God. You just believing. God playing you like a pawn. In the OAHSPE, it was a verse where Abraham asks concerning lands, like, what do we do with the land? Like, if I get some land and the enemy run up on me, like what I do? We go to battle? True God, like, nah, let them have the land. Let them have the land with no purchase. And y'all move out. Y'all keep pushing. And wherever y'all push, y'all keep blossoming the land as y'all move around like nomads. But the false God would say, grab your swords, get ready for battle, defend the land. Now both parties are in battle, shedding blood on the land, killing one another, spirits being born in chaos on the land, lingering spirits on the land after the battle. This is why Jehovah said, don't battle for land. Keep it moving to avoid that spiritual karma that comes with battle. See, your false God didn't warn you about your spiritual karma that comes with battle and warfare. Yeah, when the Messiah returns, he's going to do battle and the blood going to be up to his knee. You know how foolish you sound saying that? You know the spiritual conditions that awaits people who engage in that level of behavior? No, your God didn't tell you that. Your God didn't tell you that part. So when you cross over and die and your God ain't there to rescue your spirit, but the emissaries of your enemy in spirit captures you and drag your ass off into Haiti or wall you around with fire where you cannot escape until time given by the false God in charge. See, your Bible don't tell you about those battles of the gods and the results of the spirits of the dead in battle. Your Bible don't talk about that. But in one breath, you want to go tell you to go slew off humans. I'm not going to even mention that nations no more. I'm going to just say human beings. Because the curse of Canaan and all that is bullshit. That's the same excuse the Europeans use on black people to say dark skin is a curse. So we have the right to persecute them. That's the same thing with the curse of Canaan. Because when you read that curse of Canaan, there was nothing in that curse that he did anything wrong. Everything that people say is injecture. Oh, he had sex with his wife. The text don't say that. Oh, he molested Noah. The text don't say that. The text don't say nothing that these cats are saying other than what the scriptures say. Nothing for him to be saying, curse be your fourth child. A child that's not even born yet, you cursing him. See, y'all don't question these things. Y'all just believe in that shit. And then these gods got you believing that. And then you go start looking at the African Americans, the Caribbeans, or anybody dark skinned as your enemy because of a Bible verse that was inspired by a false god. And now the Caribbeans, the Puerto Ricans, and the blacks is fighting and fussing based off of doctrine and nationality. And tribal war begins. Then this tribe going against this tribe to battle because of a verse that the Bible said. And that verse was given by a false god. So y'all don't know what y'all getting yourselves into, dealing with and getting caught up with nationality, tribal war, and all that. Get away from that. That's going to have you caught up. The kingdom of the Creator is colorful. Many nationalities is in there. But the kingdoms of these false gods, you may have nothing but this type of people in that kingdom. Nothing but that type of people. Nothing but Chinese over here. Look at North Korea. North Korea ain't playing no games. They ain't taking in no prisoners. You come there disrespecting, they going to put you in prison ASAP. So the God over there, he's subjected. He's a false god. He ain't playing no games with his followers and his pawns over there in North Korea. You see what I'm saying? So you got to question your belief systems. Because you walking around here with hate in your heart for the Canaanites. You walking around here with hate in your heart for the Hamites or the Egyptians or the Persians. And it's all divisive tactics to keep you away from the Creator. Because when you come to the Creator say, yo, there'll be no arguing about Lord gods and saviors in these exalted kingdoms. So if you ain't working yourself to redeem yourself from your own prejudice, don't think you getting any closer to the Creator. Look at the camps. Some of these camps, yo, only Israel. All the other nations going into captivity. They're going to have a harsh reality as well. When they realize that, yo, you can't get no higher than this first heaven or the second heaven with that mindset. You got to let go of that mindset of thinking that nation is separate and this nation is separate when we are one family. We one human family. Homo sapien sapien. You see what I'm saying? When you start dealing with the anatomy, haplogroups, genetics, that's when you're going to see we all connected. We all share the same blood. Everybody bleed the same blood. Every male walk the same Y chromosome. The oldest Y chromosome is the Bush people of South Africa. And they light-skinned. They're not no dark-skinned people. If you look at the oldest people on the planet, they're not no dark Congo Africans. They some little light people. And I ain't talking about the ions. I'm talking about haplogroups. When you look at A000 haplogroup, and you look at the South African Bushmen, they light-skinned, bro. And they got the oldest Y chromosome. So what does that tell you? Don't be too cocky. Don't be too arrogant. We all share the same blood. That's why the Israelites don't want to deal with genetics, take a DNA test, because they don't want to deal with the fact that we all connected. They want to stay divisive. They want to stay divided based off their false God. Don't get caught up in that madness, yo. I'm feeling good right now. Let me light my spliff, man. Let me light my spliff. I had one chick say, how can you get high all day? I heard a comment. I'm like, niggas ain't sitting around getting high all day. Nigga. I'm just taking a break. I'm taking a little talk to y'all and burn a little spliff. Don't be a dictator. I got my own business. Nigga. I make my money. I can do what the hell I want to do. You probably got to clock in at somebody else's job. Don't play them games. I'm here to speak knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Don't worry about what I do. Worry about your own salvation and soul. That's why I smoke in front of the camera, to let you know I'm human. I had somebody ask me if I was the Archangel Michael. A brother asked me if I was the Archangel Michael, and I ain't like that. Because that lets me see how people who have knowledge could use that as deception. What happens if I told that brother I was the Angel Michael, and then ran on a philosophy to make it sound good to him, and he could be, yo, Selah Shalom was Michael, bro. Same way they was doing Malachi York. They were saying Malachi York was the Archangel Michael, and he was saying he was. See, I ain't into that, man. I don't do that. That's fake to me. I'm a brother from the struggle like everybody else. Came across some information, found it was dope, and sharing it with the people. No more, no less. I don't get in people's personal lives. What you do is what you do. I burn my herbs. I'm a living example. I don't need flesh and blood, none of that. It's COVID season. I ain't sick. A lot of y'all got sick throughout this COVID. The same righteous, same who's supposed to be worshiping the creator, Yahweh and all this. You supposed to be a priest and all that. Y'all got COVID and shit. You know what I mean? Y'all got to stop acting like y'all holier than thou. We regular people. We make mistakes. We flesh and blood. We got an animalistic nature in us. You got to piss and shit. I don't give a fuck how good looking you think you are. You got to stoop down and take a shit, and that shit stink. You can be the baddest chick in the planet. You take a shit, that shit stink. So stop acting like you holier than thou. We all in this shit together, man. Don't worry about me smoking my weed, but you over there eating them lamb chops and them porks. Come on, let's not do that. Y'all son, what it do, King? Angelic Silver, yes, what it do? Bring it out, no doubt. Or that if you kill a human, that all will see that mark on the other side. Exactly. You slew a man. He ain't dead. The physical part you got rid of. But the spiritual side, which is the physical angelical body, is still there. You see these animals? These dogs? They even have an existence after life in the spirit world, momentarily. They're not gonna ascend because they're not high intelligent beings like mortals, but they have an existence in the spirit world after death. The animals do. See, the OAHSPE shows you that. Shows you the parallel. And it's even Revelations, it's even spiritual books that talk about the spiritual world. It talks about animals in the spiritual world, like life in the unseen realm. It talks about the animals in the realm. It talks about lakes and boats. People driving boats in the spirit world. Why would that be so hard-fetched when we experience it on earth? Why would boats, planes, lakes, rivers, houses, homes be spooked out in the spiritual world when we existing in here on earth? If the rule is as above, so below as above, well, how was that hard to fathom? You feel me? Watching from Qatar, we in some critical times. Oh yeah, we in some critical times. That's why you got to start learning. Start fasting. Stop eating that flesh and blood. Flesh and blood meat eaters are going to become cannibals in the time of critical times, in the time of Jacob's trouble, in the time when you can't go to the store and ain't no food, grocery store's gone, when there ain't nothing to eat and you accustomed to tasting flesh and blood, don't think for a second you will not become a cannibal after death. That's why it's good to learn to discipline yourself to be herbivorous. So when these critical times come, you have trained your body to fast without food for a period of time. You see all these trees? Some of these trees go berries on them in the summertime. Get familiar with the region and where you live at. Get familiar with nature and what fruits grow freely in nature. Find out where those fruit trees are so when critical times come, you can nurture. It's a muscadine tree right over there. When the summer come, you see all the muscadines on the ground, grapes, like little berries and all that. I know where to go. If you go south in Georgia, just take 85, go south, ain't nothing but peach tree. That's why they call it the peach state. It ain't nothing but peach trees, miles and miles of peach trees. I know where to go. If critical times come and I got to flee on feet, I'm headed south to them peach trees so I can sustain myself. Because if you ain't never, we get hungry, but we don't really know what hunger is in this country. Compared to them third world countries, when you see the ribs clutching and touching, that's real hunger. And they not even turning cannibals. They starving out to death. But here in America, we so accustomed to eating that flesh and blood. Perfect example. When you at work, you clock in at 8 o'clock, and by the time 11 o'clock, what happened? You start getting hungry. Damn, I'm hungry. I can't wait till lunchtime. Lunchtime may be 1 o'clock. You look at your clock, it's 11:15. You like, damn, I got 9 hours for lunch. You're not really hungry. You just been programmed and trained to think that way. And your mind has been rationalizing it. You may not even be really hungry, but you've been programmed. Every 12 o'clock comes to lunchtime. So you ready to eat. Just imagine you can't eat for 2 days straight. As far as the customary food you're accustomed to eating. Your beef, steak, chicken. I ain't mad at you, nigga. This shit tastes good when I was eating a motherfucker. I ain't gonna bullshit you and act like that shit don't taste good. But I'm just talking about, I'm here to prepare your soul. I'm just showing you that those things right there is gonna hold you down now, physically and after death. The way it's gonna hold you down now is through disease and sickness and disease. That flesh and blood gonna slow down your metabolism. It's gonna slow down your blood system. It's gonna slow down your oxygen to your organs. It's gonna create dehydration of the oxygens. You're not feeling good, you go to the doctor. Oh, you got pancreatitis. Oh, you got diabetes. Oh, you got arthritis. Oh, that comes from your diet, bruh. Oh, that comes from what you put in your body. So if your body is the temple of God and you suffer from those conditions, your body is not the temple of God no more. It's the temple for worms and maggots. Because guess what? When you digest meat and that meat sits on the wall of your digestive tract, it starts to rot. And that rotten meat starts to produce maggots and worms. It's called intestinal worms. Look it up. Now your body is the walking temple of death instead of the walking temple of light based off what you want to eat. See that? I used to love my chicken, my nigga. I used to love my sizzling. I used to eat pork when I was a child, nigga. I'm West Indian, nigga. If you know the West Indian diet, nigga, sauce and pig feet to them thing there. Grew up on that. What do you mean? When I got conscious at 16, I stopped eating the meat and the beef. I let it go. I was hanging with niggas that was older than me and they were studying Islam. They was speaking Arabic. I'm 16 hanging with cats in their 20s talking like this. In the music studio doing music. Dealing with the Nation of Islam. They speaking the lessons. They the ones that got me on the knowledge like hard body. Changed my diet. When I turned 26, I stopped eating fish. I let go of the fish. Bang. 41 years old now. So that's my tribe. So I ain't come out the womb a vegetarian and pure and holy like some people try to make they better than you because they vegetarian. Nah, I came out this motherfucker sick, just like everybody else, contaminated through the diet, just like everybody else. But as you get older, you gotta wisen up. You gotta discipline yourself. If you can't let go of the meat, shit, at least train your kids not to eat the shit. Break the generational curse. The curse gotta stop somewhere. You gotta be the cause. Perfect example. My son was born with asthma. His mother had asthma. So he used to be on the breather machine and all that when he was little. I used to be so sad seeing him just breathing on that machine. I used to be hurt inside, like, damn, my little man going through this shit. But then when he turned 4 years old, he asked me one day, he said, yo, Dad, he said, Daddy, why you don't eat meat? And I explained to him. Because at that time, at 4 years old, I was already teaching him about life after death, earth, heaven, ethereal. When you die, you got to go. At 4 years old, I was telling him that, and he was already conscious of that. And then he raised the question about the meat. And I told him. When I told him the answer, he said, yo, Daddy, I don't want to eat meat no more. And he stopped eating meat from that day. He's 20 years old now. He ain't ate meat since he was 4 years old. And he ain't have asthma after that either. He went on playing football in junior high school and high school. The asthma went away. You know why the asthma went away? First of all, you know why the asthma was there? Because his mother had it. When you have asthma, that means your lungs are inflamed with mucus and it swells and the bronchitubes is tight for the air passages to flow through. She didn't correct it in her generation, so it affected our son. So when he was born, he came down with the condition. When he was 4, he raised the question, Dad, why you don't eat meat? This is why. It's going to slow down. It's going to create sickness and disease and intestinal worms. Then I showed him some pictures of intestinal worms on the internet. That blew his mind when he seen that. That was it for him. And then I said, when you die, you're not going to ascend to the higher realms. You're going to be lingering spirit. So it pondered on him. As a 4-year-old, it pondered on him. And he said, yo, Dad, I don't want to eat no meat. He told his mother. His mother ain't forced it. She was like, cool. Stop eating meat. After he stopped eating meat, the asthma went away. You know why? Because the mucus, the swelling in the bronchitube, it started going back to its normal condition. So if it was swollen when he was born and he stopped feeding foods to maintain that inflammation and mucus in his chest, once he stopped, the mucus drained itself off the bronchial tubes, or the pipes of the bronchial tubes, and the passage became open to its normal capacity. And he could breathe, sucking the air. And it never came back till his death. So saying that to say, if you can't change your diet, at least change your children's diet. Cut the generational curse. Because the sooner we cut the generational curse, the quicker we can purify our bodies and become close to the Creator. And do the things that the Messiah was talking about that we were supposed to be doing. The Messiah said, you're going to be doing greater things than I. What were some of the things that the Messiah was doing? Healing people with the right hand. Walking on top of water. Raising the dead. We ain't doing none of that. Those were things done to show the possibilities of the spirit of man when he's tuned in with the Creator. We call those abnormal activities or paranormal activities today. But the reality is that man can obtain these things through purity of diet. So like I said, I'm here to prepare the soul. You want to talk money, you could go to somebody else to talk money. You want to talk finances, go to somebody. You want to talk credit, I ain't the one for that. It's experts in that. I ain't the type of cat to try to speak on everything like I know everything. I know what I know, which I wanted to know, which was the Creator. That's what I wanted to know coming up. Some people want the money, some people want the cars. I wanted to know what was the purpose of life, what we here for. When I was young, we looking at the moon cycles as a child. We like, damn, what's up with that? You know what I mean? Now we got books that explain these things, but now you want to become arrogant because you read one Bible and think that all the answers is there when you have other books giving you revelations to add on top of what you know. With knowledge, get understanding and wisdom. Family, it's about that time. Give it a few months. Can't speak on much. Oh yeah, it's going down. It's been going down. Ain't nothing new. Like they say, ain't nothing new under the sun. It's been going down. Well, right now, this whole Illuminati shit that people be talking about, Illuminati is Lou among, my nigga. Lou among, the Catholic Church, the Mafia, the Italian, all them. That's Lou among. Louis Monk is your Illuminati. When Louis Monk took over Rome through Constantine and established Constantine, and Constantine established Christianity, that was your Illuminati right there. That was the precursors of Illuminati. The false illuminated light. The false Christ. Now you got to worship Christ in order to get to the Creator. They hijacked you. They gave you a middleman to work with instead of dealing with the plug directly. You hear me? So that's what the Illuminati is, man. The Illuminati ain't nothing but Louis Monk, bro. This whole system that we have in America that everybody hates, this Uncle Sam system, that's Louis Monk, bro. Louis Monk, the false Christ, is what's running this mob. OAHSPE, Book of East, Daughter of Jehovah, it tells you that. When Columbus came to the Western world, Louis Monk brought his emissaries. The Christian crusaders who came with them crosses over here, that was Louis Monk, bro. And who you think the Illuminati is? The ancestors of them same people who came over here in them crusade ships, holding the cross and the Bible to the natives over here, the copper-colored natives over here. When them Christians came over here, that was Louis Monk, my nigga. The false Christ, making his presence in this soil. Christianity is the biggest religion, or is the face of America. When you think of America, religious-wise, you think of Christianity. You don't think of Islam, you don't think of Buddhism. When you think of American religion, you think of Christianity. Because Louis Monk hijacked the land with Christianity. So when the Illuminati gets exposed and when the Illuminati falls, is when Christianity falls. Christianity gotta fall. Islam gotta fall. These religions are gonna take a big fall in order for the Creator's kingdom to really part way. It's gonna be done simultaneously though. As the religious feuds get worse, those who's gonna be living more of a spiritual life is gonna be more living peaceful on the countryside while the cities get worse. And that's gonna be the split. It ain't gonna be no miraculous 7-headed dragon coming out the water shit. It's gonna be that the cities are gonna get worse just like you see it now. Look how the cities done turned up since COVID. Look at the crime in every city since COVID started. See that? The wise gonna rise up and get the fuck up out the cities and go to the countryside where it's more safe and peaceful. And that's what's gonna happen. That's gonna be the split. Those dwelling in the city, trying to combat crime, trying to find a solution instead of leaving, and things get worse. You got peace activists getting murdered in the streets. They trying to bring peace in the gangbangers, the gangbangers shooting them down. The peacemakers. The ex-gangbangers who trying to bring peace to the community, the new form of gangbangers banging them down in the cities. So you can stick and live among that, or you can say, you know what? We all gonna come together. We're gonna sell our houses. We're gonna get land on the country, and we're gonna live off the grid, away from what's going on in the cities. That's the reality. That's the real Armageddon. That's the real whole New World Order. That's everything in a nutshell. It's either you're gonna stay in the city and remain and be a victim of your circumstances, or you're gonna leave and establish yourself on the countryside where it's safe. Only thing you may have to worry about is some foxes and some damn wild animals running up on the land, and a couple of bears in the summertime or whatever. But that's nothing in comparison to walking out your door and you're not sure if you're gonna make it because these cats on the corner over here blood, and these cats 2 blocks down is Crip, and they may start busting shots at each other, and you get caught in the crosshair. None of the victims get hit, but you get hit. It's gonna get worse in the cities. Look at the rappers. Look at the drill culture. Look how they killing back and forth from the drill culture. It's gonna get worse because the younger generation seeing that, they copying that. So it's gonna get younger. When you're young, your mind is underdeveloped. You ain't thinking properly. You're not even thinking for yourself yet. That's why the death rate in Chicago is so high, because it's young kids. If you could think back the days when you was like 14, 15, 16, how wild some of the cats was. Even when we was. I could tell you some wild ass experiences as teenagers, man. Some crazy shit. Non-thinking shit. Because our mind wasn't developed. A nigga mind don't really start developing until he start hitting like 21, 20s. When you start hitting 20, when that 20 come, you start thinking a little different. Because now you're telling yourself, I'm not a teenager no more, and peers around you telling yourself you're not a teenager no more. So that 20 hit different compared to them teens. Them teens, man, we was letting that thing go, man. It was no mercy. And I was still a peacemaker back then. I done stopped some wild shit that could have went down based off of son looking at son and words going back, and I'm in the middle trying to diffuse the situation. Yeah, wild kids. But it's gonna get worse if you stay in the city. Leave. My mother, when she was living in New York in the 80s, by the time 89, she got the fuck up out of there. She said, nigga, I ain't raising my children up in this state. It's crazy. East New York, Brooklyn in the 80s was crazy. Anybody from New York, from Brooklyn, know what I'm talking about when I mean East New York in the 80s and the 90s. I left there in 89. When I left there, boy, I used to go to school, PS 273, fighting every day as a kid. I remember that shit, fighting every day as a kid. It was like that was so normal. But see, in that same culture, when you start hitting the ages of 13, 14, that's when the guns start getting involved. That's when the shootouts, and that's when you start hearing friends getting murdered and shit like that. In cities like New York, them fast-paced cities. Not too much in the South. You know what I mean? Ain't too much young cats doing killings like that compared to like right now. I'm talking like in the 90s, but now they doing it like that. The young cats getting busy out here. You know, the web series that I do, Atlanta's Ugly, I done lost like 8 people in that show due to the streets. Young cats done lost their lives that I got in my show due to the streets. So I'm showing you it's real out here. You know what I mean? But a lot of that is due to the lifestyle you're living. You know what I'm saying? What you do to people, some shit come back to you. You know what I mean? You may do something to somebody and they may come back and take your life for it. You gotta be careful when you beefing with other people or you getting into it with people. You gotta be mindful. You can't underestimate nobody. I don't underestimate no man. I ain't gonna sit there and try to play a man in the street, say some words, and then walk off like it's all good. I'm not that naive. Because I done been in situations where that same thing go down and next thing you know, niggas busting at you. Next thing you know, nigga laying beside you dead. Based off of some slick shit you done said. So when you learn and when you've been through certain experiences, you know how to move. And you know how to be prepared for the jump off. Ain't no talking. Those who really get busy, ain't no talking. They just get busy. Due to the experiences that they done been through. But the nigga who running his mouth talking shit in the streets, yapping, those be the ones that get cut down. Because they haven't been through certain experiences to let them know that shut the fuck up, nigga. You making yourself a target to get killed right now. Because dudes I know, I'm Caribbean. I know Caribbean hitmen, top shotters, yard man, Trini man, Guyanese man. Real killers who got bodies on them. I ain't talking about no 1 or 2. 20 bodies, 30 bodies, mafia type shit. These is niggas I was affiliated with as a youth. As they were the OGs, man. Show me how to get up out the club if shit jump off. Keep your back against the wall all the way out to the club, nigga. Real soldier shit. Shit jump off in the club, hit that back wall, slide on that back wall all the way out to the motherfucking exit, my nigga. A nigga who got bodies told me that. Jamaican, older cat. Real top shotter. I ain't gonna say his name. Real top shotter. saying that to say, when you in the cities, this is the world you're going to have to be dealing with. And trying to be a peacemaker in the world of devils is not going to work. You're going to either, you're going to become victim, you're going to be the prey or the predator. It's only, that's what I said. You still have the animal nature in you. Animal man. You still got that beast nature in you. So you could be as peaceful as you want. But if you go out on them streets, somebody try you, especially you with your daughter or your kids or your son, somebody run up and smack your son, it's war. So to avoid that, the Creator saying, come back to this. Come back to nature. See how quiet it is? You don't hear shit. You don't hear shit, nigga. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good out here. Ain't even a human being. Come back to this, yo. Your days will be prolonged. See what I'm saying? Get out the cities. Get out the environments. As soon as you walk out the door, drama could jump off. Get away from that. Come back to the nature. Get you a cabin. Get you some land. If you got family who got land, start developing that shit. Get on the land. Start getting familiar with it. Get accustomed to it. Because it ain't going to be easy coming from the city going straight to the country on the land. If you ever been in the country in them night times, yo, that shit dark. And it can get a little spooky feeling after, you know what I mean? Especially if we start talking about some spirit of the dead and evil spirits. Yeah, you start getting a little spooked out looking at the land that day and night. But that's lightweight to deal with, though, honestly speaking. That's something I'm just tripping over. But your mission should be to get on the land. That's my focus. All this knowledge, my whole mission, all that, get off the grid. And I ain't talking about getting off the grid to the point where you shitting in the woods type shit. We still gonna keep it civil. You know what I mean? We gonna make it make sense. But get off the grid, yo. You know what I mean? Family. You ain't lying, King. That's how it was in Flatbush, Brooklyn when some Flatbush shit done know. Now niggas give it up at Flatbush. Them niggas stay busting their gun on Flatbush, yo. When I was in East New York, that shit was grimy, bro. If you from Flatbush, East New York, Brownsville, all that area, crazy. That's why my mother got the fuck up out of there. Cause I'm like, damn, if I would've stayed up in New York, ain't no telling what would've been to me. Could have been in jail, could have got killed, could still be alive and just be a typical nigga who don't know shit as far as the knowledge and information. Ain't no telling, yo. But my mother said, the same way she fled, said she ain't want to raise her kids out here, it's the same move you got to do. Come up out of Babylon. Babylon don't mean a whole goddamn country. Babylon mean the city, the metropolitan, the congestion of the city world. Because it's a lot of strife and tension. You know what I mean? When I go to New York and I touch down and I put my bags up and I'm ready to hit them streets, I get a gut feeling. I get a gut feeling. And that gut feeling is, anything could jump off. Because I'm seeing a whole bunch of motherfuckers, a whole bunch of niggas out here. Everybody in their feelings. Niggas got attitudes. Chicks got attitudes. So I'm on go. When I go to New York, it's not the same mentality you see here. It's a whole different mentality. You know what I mean? Can't be on that peaceful shit up there. You gotta be a little aggressive with the New Yorkers. Well, a part of Brooklyn that I be going to in East New York. That shit ain't nothing but Caribbean people. So, I love my Caribbean people and me being Caribbean. You know what I mean? That shit just brings out more of the beast nature in the nigga. You gotta get a little bit more feisty and a little bit more aggressive. Yeah. Yeah, it's cold as brick out here, but it feels good, yo. It ain't that brick. The wind ain't blowing. If the wind was blowing, it'll be crazy. Peace, God. Steven, what it's do? I see you. Just sitting here dropping some gems, man. Words of wisdom from the Creator. Yeah, man. I just wanted to holler at y'all for a minute. Drop a couple gems. Talk my talk. Now continue as I finish light my spliff. May come back on a little later. I mean, drop some scriptures.